All the world's a stage. All the men and women merely players. And I was destined to play roles I never dreamed I'd live through.
Destination freedom. Destination freedom. Dramatizations of the great democratic traditions of the Negro people is brought to you by station WMAQ as a part of the pageant of history and of America's own Destination Freedom. Outstanding among many extraordinary actors who have contributed to the rich heritage of the American stage is one Leonard Lionel Cornelius Kanagata, Canada Lee, whose story Destination Freedom tells in a chapter entitled Do Something, Be Somebody.
All the world's a stage. And the great director first cast me as Leonard Lionel Cornelius Kanagata, the only son of a West Indian shipowner who had trained his son to become a violin virtuoso. Character, restless, shifting. Place and time, New York, 1921. Scene, the Kanagata home. Situation, Leonard has just asked his father for a strange favor.
Take you out to the racetracks? For what?
It's just that I've never seen a race, and I've heard so much about it.
From that ruffian Andy you picked up with.
Oh, it's not Andy.
Then what is it that makes a boy, on the eve of an important classical concert, think of jockeys? What's gotten into him?
Now, don't be scolding him. For 9 years, you've made him give up everything young boys like just to practice the violin.
And hasn't it been worth it? Look where he is today.
That's why I say you can afford to take him out to Jamaica. Just be sure to get him back in plenty of time for the concert this evening.
Oh, very well. Come along.
I went along and saw a stage different from any on which I had played. And at the sight of gay costumes and the prance of the horses, I felt my nerves quiver as my father spoke his lines.
Leonard, have you seen enough? Remember your concert.
Let me stay for just one more race, Father. Just this one.
The horses are at the post. First 5,000, 6 furlongs. They're off. The early start breaks out into the lead by half a length. Center of the billboard. Pink Lady in the rear. Now the round of the clubhouse turn and center of the billboard.
I watched the jockeys ride the necks of their horses. When I fingered the neck of my violin, I knew I would imagine it to be that of a thoroughbred. For as the horses ran, my heart ran with them. And it seemed I was seeing a way to push ahead faster and live always at the top of my nerves.
It's not crossing the finish. I believe it's yakety yak by a length. Yakety yak.
Leonard, have you seen enough?
I had seen enough. I didn't dare speak my lines, I only nodded.
Then come along. When you're on the concert stage, you'll forget this foolishness. This is the most important night in the history of the Kanagatas.
And on the most important night in the history of the Kanagatas, I stood in the wings and waited for my cue.
There's the applause. They're waiting for you, Leonard. How do you feel?
Very well, Father.
You seem preoccupied.
Oh?
Play your best, and if you're successful, there's great news for us. Go on. There's your cue.
I caught my cue and got out on the stage. I bowed, lifted the violin to my chin, and went into my act. I guided the bow and sensed the satisfaction of the audience. But somehow, as I played, I could see another audience, more excited, with tense, straining faces, all watching a stage where everything moved faster and faster, and for seconds lived at the top of their nerves, faster, faster, and faster. When I finished the concert, the audience went home pleased and satisfied. But I stopped by my friend Andy's and told him what I really wanted.
Okay. I'll help you get out of the house, Professor. Take you to the fight, you know. Now, when you hear me whistle, raise your window. That'll be your cue.
I went home to wait for my cue. And my father was waiting to play his role with characteristic concern.
A good concert, Leonard, even though I felt you had your mind somewhere else.
Father, I'd like to tell you that
I know. You're going to take a trip.
You know?
The agency phoned me this evening. They've arranged for you to give concerts in Paris and Berlin.
Oh.
I'm proud of you. Why, at an early age, you've gotten a profitable profession, and you'll never have to go jobless or hungry. Go on up to bed. Tomorrow we'll make our plans. You want to say something?
I said nothing. Father acted his role. I acted mine. He didn't know that I lay awake, waiting for the second act of my life to begin. I called my cue.
Is that you, Andy?
You ready, Professor?
I'll be right down.
Hurry. Don't wake up your people.
I stumbled about, but my people slept halfway through my big scene. I gathered a sack of clothes, threw them down, and jumped after them.
Hey, what's the sack for? You all right?
Leonard?
Uh-oh.
Is that you, Leonard?
Pick up your feet, Professor. They see us.
Leonard!
Run!
Leonard!
We ran until her voice faded like a stage whisper, and we stopped near the railroad tracks.
I'm dead.
Yeah.
You're sure long-winded for a professor. Yeah.
Which train goes by Belmont Racetrack, Andy? You said you knew.
Sure, but we ain't going there.
I'm going.
Quit your kidding. We're going to the fights. Fool around a while and go on back home.
I'm not going home until I've become somebody I want to be.
You're running away? Don't be a stoop. What's at Belmont?
Jockeys? I'll be a jockey.
Jockeys. Kids like you don't have a chance around the track. They'll use you for a stable boy, and when you're all used up, they'll throw you away like a squeezed lemon, you know?
Is this the right train?
Only way you'll get on a horse is over some jockey's dead body, and it won't be long before you follow him. I've been one. I know it's tough.
Are you going to try to stop me?
I can't stop you.
Then I'll take a chance on this freight. I took a chance on the freight, and even before it neared my goal, I could hear the sound of horses shooting across the tracks. Though at first I worked only in the stables, my fingers caressed the necks of the thoroughbreds as they had stroked the neck of my concert violin. And the day came at Belmont the way Andy had predicted. The club doctor bent over the jockey in my stable.
Mr. Culpepper, I'm afraid Jockey Jack's not going to ride your horse in the 10th race.
He's got to. We bet heavy on that race, didn't we, Tout?
Yeah, $5,000. Oh, that kid ain't sick. That jockey's always stalling.
My stethoscope don't say so.
What does that rubber hose of yours say?
It says he's dead. Bad heart, overstrained. You gentlemen will have to forget that $5,000 to find a jockey naive enough to ride for you.
All right, Doc. We'll look around.
They looked around, and there I was in the stable.
Say, you.
Me, sir?
You the kid who thinks he's a jockey, huh?
Thinks it. He talks it in his sleep, but he can't ride.
Let me decide this, Tout. How much you weigh, kid?
Well, I don't know exactly. This morning I weighed just a little
Get
under...
on these scales.
All right.
He ain't built for a jockey, Chief. He's going to be a welterweight when he gets food in his stomach.
Read the scales, Tout.
100 pounds on the nose.
You ever tried to ride my yakety-yak?
Oh, he ain't never rode no horse, Chief.
Tout, will you let me handle this?
Oh,
You willing to try it, kid?
I'm willing.
And you'll ride him in the 10th. I'll get you registered. Get on some togs while Tout brings out yakety-yak.
Now, please, Chief, that horse is tough on new riders.
Who you working for, Tout? Me or this here kid?
I'll get the horse, boss.
I got into that dead jockey's boots, and the tout brought me yakety-yak.
She's saddled and waiting. Up on her, kid.
I got upon her. I was ready for my new scene. I trembled, and yakety-yak felt me tremble, and buck and stole the scene.
You call yourself a jockey. Can't you hold on?
I picked myself up. I leaped on again. She bucked again.
Now, look, Chief, he can't even stay in the saddle. And when it comes to racing...
I've got to have my horse out there.
You'll get the jockey's neck broke.
You preaching nowadays, Tout? Just the reason I'm sending him. He's got to stay on or get his neck broken. The bugle will blow in a few minutes for the 10th race. It's all up to you, kid.
I sat up on that horse, hardly daring to move. When my curtain call came, I trotted yakety-yak out on the stage. I trembled, but I had my legs curved around his ribs. And I silently went over my lines, the techniques I'd heard jockeys talk about, the ways to outplay the stage and to finish first in the stretch. But when my cue came, I was terrified and felt that I'd been miscast.
They're off. Pink Lady jumps to the lead, followed by Hot Papa Nofay. Demon Rum pulling up on the side and Yakety Yak's from the rear. Now Hot Papa's pulling even with Pink Lady, but Ofay has shot ahead. Ofay leading by half a length. Pink Lady pulling into second place. Here comes Senator Billboard round to the club curve on the outside, just ahead of Yakety Yak. Now Yakety Yak's going through a hole between Demon Rum and Pink Lady. He's fighting up fast. Fighting up the fourth.
Then I started to fight for my role. I had caught the fire and fight I'd felt in my audience, and I pushed Yakety Yak through an opening and another and rode his neck while he pumped his powerful feet through to the finish.
By a full length, it's Yakety Yak at the finish. Yakety Yak by a length. It's Yakety Yak.
I finished first and won the audience. I was the star of the show.
Kid, you're worth your weight in gold.
Yeah, and that weight's one thing you gotta watch, kid, because if you don't, why, you'll be out on...
Tout, let me handle the kid.
Oh, sure. I'm just helping him down.
Let him stay up there a while. Get the photographers. Hereafter, kid, you're going to ride the circuit from Belmont to Santa Anita. You belong up there on top. You stay up there.
I stuck on top of those horses. I learned to play my role like a veteran. I was doing something and being somebody. I galloped while wind whistled past me, while the smell of sweat and leather and horsehide affected me like a shot of perfume. Adrenaline was all around me. Air was ozone. I played my role from Canada to the coast. My director kept saying,
Nice going. But watch your weight, kid. You're growing too fast. Watch that weight.
I sweated off the pounds and galloped again and again. And my sense of timing and balance spread through all my actions and carried me faster, always to do something and be somebody.
Watch that weight, kid.
I watched my weight.
Watch that weight.
But one year came around when I wanted to race in the Derby. I sweated and starved myself. But there was something in me that wouldn't be starved and wouldn't be small, and it grew until I climbed off the horses and stepped on the scales for 7 straight days and saw them tell the same story.
Still 15 pounds over the weight.
Well, I can sweat it off. It'll only take a few days.
Few days is too long, kid. When the Lord give you those bones, he meant for you to put meat on it.
Well, I know, but in another year, I can save some money and
Not
maybe
with that bad habit you got, kid. Same bad habit all teenagers got. Growing. Now, we decided
I'll tell him, Tout.
Tell me what?
You're through as a jockey.
Oh, but I've been here 4 years. It's all I know. What'll I do?
Don't tell me your troubles. Go back to being a stable boy. You've had your run. Show's over. Get off the stage. Tout, bring out that new boy.
I stepped down and went behind the stage, in the stables again. But when the season was over, I wandered away. I walked along the railroad tracks all day and through the lonesome nights. Hit New York, jobless, broke, bewildered, and went asking for jobs that were hard to find.
If I knew where a job was, I'd get it myself, kid. I'd get
I'm
it
laying
myself.
off people, not hiring. Fella laying off now.
Sorry, kid, I don't need nobody today. Don't need no help at all.
I walked about, casting a role I found baffling and bitter. When the winter wind cut through my clothes, I ducked inside a door to escape the cold. I stood by the door and warmed my bones. A long hall led to a fierce spotlight. I walked towards it, and the smell of sweat and steam and leather was perfume to my nostrils. I stopped before a square stage. 2 actors with steel muscles spoke their lines with uppercuts and looping left hooks. defended their characters with right crosses and body blows, shifted their scenes with feints, and punched home their parts with precision. I stood transfixed, and an old glow got a hold of me. Adrenaline adopted my veins again, and as a new play was acted out, one of the characters quit the cast.
Time. That's enough. It's about time you knocked him out. You had him all the time, you know. You going blind, killer?
Oh, I would have had him long ago if this stumble bum here hadn't have walked in, distracted my attention.
Well, who are you talking about?
This guy over here standing by the ropes with his mouth open.
I was only watching, mister. I didn't mean to annoy
Hey, ain't you my old pal, the professor?
Andy.
Yeah. Look, you better beat it outside, kid. The killer's kind of high strung when he's training, and I'll meet you.
I was only watching. I'll step back from the ring.
You step outside now while the stepping out's good.
Oh, now, killer.
Is he leaving or am I throwing him out? Come on.
I started to leave, but then it seemed I was acting on the wrong cue. I stopped and turned and revised my lines. I'm staying, mister.
Why, you little punk.
Now, killer, don't hit him.
I'll tear his head off. That's what I'll do.
Ow! Hold it! Great day in the morning, Professor. You murdered him for life with them punches.
I'm sorry, but he was on top of me.
What gym are you from? Who's been training you?
Nobody but the racehorses.
Lord, but them nags done a good job. That balance, that timing. You ever think of fighting for a living?
Right now, my living ain't so good.
We'll remedy that little old misfortune in a few months. Take off your clothes, climb in the ring. We'll start where the nags left off, you know.
I climbed back on the stage for my third act. It was a role I wanted to hold. I took on my antagonist and again was living at the top of my nerve.
1, 2, 1, 2, left hook, right cross, 1, 2, 1, 2. Hey, you got the touch all right. 1 year in the ring and you'll be inner city champ, state champ, national AAU champ.
Yeah? How about turning me pro?
Pro?
Yeah.
You always travel fast, don't you?
I gotta do something. Be somebody.
Boxing's a tough racket, you know. It's hard to climb up. It's easy to get knocked down.
I've been on top twice. Nothing's gonna knock me down this time. Nothing.
Okay. Don't bust the bag. I'll turn you pro. You're a fighter, all right.
I was a fighter, and cast in scenes with an atmosphere of leather and oil of wintergreen. Props were 6-ounce gloves and gauze bandages, Vaseline and spirits of ammonia, 3-legged stools and 2-inch ropes, and through 250 performances under the footlights, I gained a new name.
And in this corner, the up-and-coming contender for the welterweight championship of the world. From New York, wearing red trunks, is Leonard Lionel Cornelius well, ladies and gentlemen, better known as Canada Lee.
Thereafter, I was Canada Lee.
The winner by a knockout in the first, Canada Lee.
The winner by a decision, Canada Lee.
I won often, lost seldom. I kept rising. I was going somewhere and about to be somebody. And I got ready for my biggest audition.
An audition for the big thing, Canada. Win the fight and the commissioner will make the champ fight you for the title.
It's in the bag.
The world's yours, you know.
I had the world in a jug and a stopper in my hand. Tough times were behind me. Glory was ahead of me. I was well rehearsed, and when the curtains went up, I leaped out on the stage, jabbing, ducking, bobbing, weaving, slugging, giving my lines the authority of my body. At the end of the round, my trainer said,
Okay. You're doing fine, you know, but don't let him crowd you, and watch that hook. Okay, go on out and stop.
I went out and bent low under his left hook and shot my left to his ribs. Caught him coming in with my 6-inch right cross, and he had to kiss the canvas.
1, 2, 3, 4,
He got up on the count of 4, dead game and swinging wild and loose, and for a split second I rebelled against caution and joined him in a free-for-all, arms flailing and flailing until lightning struck me. I awoke on an odd stage, and I heard a new director sing.
Bandage that eye carefully, nurse. Very carefully.
Is this right, Doctor?
Very good.
Doctor, he's coming to. Shall I give him more anesthesia?
No. He'll need no more. We're through. We're through.
What happened? Where am I?
Now lie back. You're in the hospital.
Where's Andy?
I'm here, Canada. I brought you here after the fight.
I lost.
You won. You got up and stopped him, only...
What am I doing in the dark?
Doc...
Look, I can't see.
I'll tell him. Young man, you received a blow that somehow detached the retina of your left eye.
What are you saying?
I'm only saying, young man, that, well...
That I'm blind.
Only in one eye. But you'll have to stop fighting.
Oh, I can't stop.
You'll have to.
But...
Or go completely blind. Or go completely blind.
Andy, every time I come out of the ring now, it's like a hot needle driving in my head.
Maybe we ought to do what the doc said. Quit.
I can't quit.
The commissioner's not going to let you in the ring anymore. Well, maybe we can pick up some loose change. Being a sparring partner, you know.
Sparring never pays much.
Oh, there's some big fella from Chicago's paying $50 a round. We'll try it. That'll tell if you can stand ring work. Come on, we'll go on over. But be sure to keep away from him. Just keep away from him and dance.
I kept away from him and danced around for 3 hours, making my one eye do the work of 2 till the last round. Lightning struck again.
You okay, Canada? Hey, you okay?
Did it happen again?
Nah, you was stunned, but you walked away. A kid sparring with fellas like that with one eye is no good. No matter how much they pay.
Who is that guy?
Imported from Chicago, name of Lewis. Joe Lewis. Coming up fast.
I'm going down fast, huh? Look, get me one more fight, Andy. One more fight.
Face the facts. Quit or go blind.
I'm broke, you know.
You should have saved the money.
Oh, it's not just the money. I wanted to do something, be somebody. Find something that was mine.
You were almost a champ.
All my life it's been almost. Almost a violinist, almost a jockey, almost a fighter.
My life ain't no bed of roses, kid.
Look, all I looked for was something I could hold on to. Now I'm broke. I'm not trained for anything else.
That's the way it is with a fighter, kid. You know what I mean? A fighter's finished when he's young, and there's nothing else he can do. You're no exception. If you can find something where you can use up this sense of timing and balance and direction and poise you got, well, you'll come out happy. If not, life had loaded dice against you, kid. I could have told you you'd roll snake eyes the first day you run away from home. Get a job or be a bum. Winter's coming, you know.
Winter came and spring followed. I walked through the days and the lonesome nights. In the fall, I was cast in the part of a man, broke, hungry, half blind, and depressed. And I played so well that none suspected it was an act, not even I. The time was the Great Depression of '36. The scene, stores, employment offices, factory doors, construction gangs.
If I knew where a job was, I'd get it myself, fella.
We're laying off people, not hiring, young man. Laying off.
Sorry, kid, I don't need nobody today. Sorry.
I trudged on. There's an odd depression that comes over people when they're without money, without function. And only those who've been completely, hopelessly broke can betray the feeling of emptiness, impotence, fever and palsy that covers your past accomplishments with a fog of amnesia. so that the problem of pulling a nickel out of your pocket for a loaf of bread becomes the most complicated and terrifying movement. A loaf of bread.
You pulled it out like it was your last.
It was.
Well, keep it. Keep it and ride the subway out to the YMCA. They're giving away stevedore jobs. Get there before noon and you might get one.
I went with the idea of being a stevedore. But 1,000 men ahead of me had the same idea. The clerk noted my turn.
Your turn won't come for 2 hours. Why don't you go somewhere and rest, and come back when it's not so crowded?
Well, where can I rest?
Well, downstairs in the basement's the little theater. They're casting for a play, but the director won't mind if you sit in the back row. Go on down and ask him.
I stood for an instant undecided. Then I walked down to the basement and opened a door marked WPA Theater Project.
You have too much respect for the world, senor.
I was in a room with a small stage, and under its spotlight, actors moved about, and their words caught my ears and juggled my senses.
And mine is sad.
Let me play the
I
fool.
stood transfixed.
With mirth and
Again,
laughter,
adrenaline
let
adopted
old
my veins.
wrinkles come.
It was like entering the ring
let
again,
my
like
liver
riding
rattle
across the
and
track on a
swine
thoroughbred.
when my heart cool.
An
All
old
right,
glow
cut.
came back to me.
That'll be enough. Now, is everybody read a part? Say, you over there.
Me?
Have you tried for your part yet?
Oh, I'm sorry. You made a mistake.
You walk in an hour late and tell me I've made a mistake? Where's your script?
I haven't one. Look, you see, I'm not really an actor. I
Your
just came down
modesty
to
is your best weapon. I'll decide on your competence. Give him a script, Tony.
Here you are.
Scan it a while and get the sense of it, and then we'll try you.
I scanned the lines a while and got their sense. I felt they'd been written about someone like me.
Start from the top. Give him his cue, Tony.
Okay. Thou seest, we are not all alone unhappy. This wide and universal theater presents more woeful pageants than the scene wherein we play in.
All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts.
Cut. Let's take the Macbeth scene. Cue him in, Tony.
Right. The Queen, my lord, is dead.
She should have died hereafter. There would have been a time for such a word. Tomorrow, and tomorrow, and tomorrow creeps in this petty pace from day to day to the last syllable of recorded time. And all our yesterdays have lighted fools the way to dusty death. Out, brief candle. Life is but a walking shadow, a poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage, and then is heard no more.
Good enough. Your name?
Kennedy Lee.
I think you'll fill the part. Step upon the stage and stay there.
I stepped upon the stage and took my part, and I stayed there. I had to do something. I had to be somebody. I had to find something all my own, and I found it.
You have just heard Destination Freedom dramatization of Do Something, Be Somebody, the story of actor Canada Lee. Destination Freedom is written by Richard Durham and produced under the direction of Homer Heck. The role of Canada Lee was played by Fred Pinkard. Others were Wezlynn Tildon, Oscar Brown Jr., Harlan Hensley, George Kluge, Cliff Norton, and Studs Terkel. The special music was composed by Emil Soderstrom and played by Elwyn Owen and Bobby Christian. This is Henry Cook inviting you to be with us again next week when Dramatization Freedom tells the story of Father Washington. This is NBC, the national broadcasting company.